Today we're on farm outside Dungarvan with local servicemen Richie Scanlan and James Joyce. They're going to take us through what actually happens at this side of the year when you're doing a service on your machine. How important it is to book it in early and get it done ideally before springtime, avoiding the rush, but also what are the things you have to look out for on a general day-to-day basis. They'll also talk through any of the things that you should be looking for if you're planning to winter milk and go the whole way through the season. And also, as well as that, they'll put a really big focus on how to dry off and actually wind down your machine so that you're going to be starting spring optimally.
A machine should be serviced twice a year. Ideally, in the dry off period, before cows start calving down, is the best time to get your machine serviced. And we look then to get the machine serviced mid-June, just check the vacuum levels and the pulsation levels. When we service a machine, we look at the vacuum levels and pulsation levels, tubing condition, age of liners on the machine, and then based on the spec of the machine, we have a service program devised around each machine. Vacuum level is very important to the milking performance. The pulsation level on each unit is important to ensure that the cow isn't undermilked or overmilked. The condition of tubing is very important as well. What can happen during the milking season is milk may leak from the cluster or from some parts of the machine into your vacuum lines and staining there then, which will cause your thermoduric levels to rise. So we advise that once a month a farmer gets a bucket of hot water, goes to the end of the parlour and sucks water right through the machine into the IV vessel in at the vacuum pumps. Keep doing this until the water is clear at the end of the wash and then wash out your IV bucket at the end. We show farmers on service how to do this, and we find this very effective to combat any thermoduric issues that guys might have on farm. A good hygiene practice is encouraged during milking times. You can see here Tom has his water hoses with arm's reach throughout the plant, and he has a long hose here for volume washing. Wash as you go is the best option rather than having your hands dirty and then you're contaminating the next cow. So clean as you go is the best procedure. For farmers milking through the winter with extreme weather temperatures, it's important that you weatherproof your milking building. Here, for example, there's a roller shutter door at the back of the parlour where we can shut down the building after milkings. There's also thermostat controlled infrared lights overhead that will come on when the temperature drops below level. The bars will come on. There's also drain valves around the machine, so when the machine is finished washing and milking, the machine it drains free of water and chemical. Always look for an IMQCS approved technician. These technicians receive the highest training with Tirlán, Milk Quality Ireland, ICOS and Teagasc, and training is ongoing. With the advent of automation and technology in milking equipment, it's important that you get the best qualified technician to look after your machine. When our service technicians are on farm, we follow a standard checklist where we have a check, change, replace system, and we spread the cost of maintaining the machine over 4 or 5 years. In this farm we have a lot of automation. We have cluster movers, we have dump lines, we have electronic feeders, we have variable speed vacuum pumps. So we devise a service program around this machine alone. For areas that we should look at, the washing of the machine is now nearly as important as the milking. And the real test of a washing performance is the wash bath. If you see any milk fat or any stains of milk circulating in the wash bath, then you need to focus on your cleaning routine. Maybe your washer isn't taking chemical, maybe your water isn't hot enough, or maybe there's some failure in the washing of your machine. So at that point, contact your technician, discuss the issues with the technician, and then together you can problem solve. It's important that a farmer keeps an eye on the dosing of chemicals through a washer. Your chlorine-free, your descaling, and your paracetic acid. What can happen is chemical can crystallise, and if they crystallise, it puts pressure on the spinning motors that take up the chemical. So it's important that you keep an eye on those daily. We advise liners should be changed every 2,000 milkings. This machine here, we always tell the farmer to check for the bore of the liner. Make sure there's no split on the liner here, and also here, which is important, that there's no break on the liner here. Any milk that goes from here will go into your vacuum line and give you thermodynamic problems. So checking these daily, we strongly advise. There's been a change on tube use on farm over the last year or two. The traditional black rubber is becoming obsolete, and farmers now are opting for a silicone-based tube. The silicone tube would last up to 3 or 4 years longer than your black rubber tubing, and it performs better with hot water washing. This is your automatic washer that controls the wash programs of your parlour. A really important thing here to check daily is your chemical tubes. Are they in the barrel? Are they deep in the barrel? This is your chlorine free, this is your descale, and this is your paracetic acid. What can happen to this chemical is it can crystallise, and if the chemical crystallises, it puts pressure on your spinning motors here, and it's possible that they won't take in any dosing chemical, and then your wash is compromised. Another checkpoint here is if you can see stains of fat or milk stain on the sides of your wash pad during washing, that means that your machine isn't washing properly. So at that point you contact your service technician to come out and then together discuss the issues and hopefully problem solve together.
So briefly just touching on what Richie was saying, as well as checking all your barrels to make sure there's chemical in it, there's an alarm that comes on this AL2 just to indicate to the farmer that it's either not getting chemical or the chemical has crystallised, as what Richie was saying. Depending on what kind of a heating system the farmer has, you can have a pre-rinse that's warm. If you have a constant flow of hot water, that's a massive plus, because you'll heat up all the stainless pipes prior to it circulating, and therefore you'll have a hotter wash, which is a massive thing with chlorine free. You really do need hot water, Obviously you need a very hot temperature, so therefore having a warm pre-rinse heats all the stainless pipes, and therefore you'll have a truer, hotter wash, And also, when farmers dry off, it's important to give the machine a regular wash as well as that. Not just give you the wash and walk away from it until you're finished up after Christmas, It's all just maintaining it, keeping everything right and clean, So, basing on how many units the farmer has, it's 14 litres for a rinse and 9 litres for circulation. So obviously that'll go, depending on if you have 10 or 20 units, that'll depend on the size of your wash trough. Now as well as that, going on how many units he has, it dispenses a certain amount of chemical. So there's programs set on this. So it'll tell you your CFD is producing just shy of a litre, and your Opticid then is just more than a litre. That's set up to suit this farm. Another massive thing with this is if you do get a high reading of thermodynamics or TBC, it's not a man-made fault because it's all mechanical. It's getting the right amount of chemical every day, so therefore it must be something else. So you're taking the blame off yourself basically. It's way more accurate with this machine.